Would you like to support Cubs Out Loud? One way is to join us over on Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, patrons get early access to our shows, the pre- and post-show, and various other rewards. You can learn more at patreon.com/CubsOutLoud. Thanks to all our patrons for their support in making this podcast. It's Sunday, June 1st, 2025. I'm Jeff.
Who's your bear? That's right. I am your bear.
I'm Damon.
I don't brew the tea, I just serve it.
That, I think, maybe, makes me Gary.
Everyone else is thinking it, and I just say it.
Welcome to Cubs Out Loud, the Bear Podcast of Indeterminate Length, episode number, what are we?
787.
787. Something like that. And it's that time of the month. Where did I put? There it is for this. And I did fix my mic before the show actually started. Just want to say that because there was a note in chat, can't hear me. Well, can't hear Jeff. So I fixed it. But we're good.
Yay!
Yay.
And
You have to explain yourself.
And I do have to say I've been responsibly cheating.
Mm-hmm.
Go on.
So I've been cheating in one thing for a few months. Or a month, maybe? More than that? I don't know. But for a while. But now I'm cheating in something else. And that's Monster Hunter World and Rise.
Oh.
So I was playing Rise on my Switch, and I got to a point where I was starting to get really, really frustrated. And I'm like, I want to get through this. I just want to get through this. And so, since not many people are playing Rise, if I want to try to play multiplayer, but I want to play the solo but still not a lot of people playing and everything. So I was like, okay, screw it. I'm just going to get on my PC, install Rise there, and see if I can figure out how to cheat. So for World, I was able to easily find this one mod that I installed into it, which made the lowest tier of a specific weapon super overpowered. So I could just like annihilate my way essentially through the game without having to worry too much about anything. Since I already have my own fun of trying to craft every sword and shield variation in the game, I've got my goals in there, and this helps go with it. And it's still taking me time, and it's helping me get through the story without having to have any frustrations or anything. I'm not playing multiplayer, it's just me solo playing, so it's fine. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Some people would be like, but you're not playing the game authentically. And I'm like, yes, I'm not playing the game authentically. I'm playing the game how I'm finding myself enjoyable. Well, it took me a while in Rise to find something of similar caliber to that. But eventually I did find a mod that basically gave me the same thing. The only thing that's OP is my weapon. That's it. Not the armor, not any of things. I'm not cheating to get certain mats for the crafting of my The swords I'm making, I'm just OP so I can kill the monsters quickly. But not too quick. Enough that I still need to do actions and stuff, but it's a lot faster than if I was trying to do it normal, because you know what? I'm also bad at this game. Well, I wouldn't say bad, just not good.
Mhm.
And
Got
because of how many people are playing and getting help that way, not so great. Meanwhile, Monster Hunter Wilds, I'm not cheating in at all. And I'm having a blast doing what I'm doing. I'm getting through everything, and I have challenges. Things are hard, but the nice thing is they've got some accessibility options. Like, well, one, a lot of people are playing the game live now, so I can send up an SOS flare and have other players pop into my hunt and kill the monster with me. Or in this game, they gave a new feature of support hunters. So you're the hunter of one unit in this expedition into the Forbidden Lands. And there's a hunter I'm in Avis unit. There's one in Astrum unit. And there's a couple other units. I can't remember their names. But those hunters of those other units pop in and basically support me. They hunt with me, which allows me to get through things such as an 8-star 5 strength Orkveld, one of the hardest monsters in the game, or even the harder monster in the game, Gormagala. I haven't done the 8-star 5 strength Gormagala. I fear that thing, and I'm choosing not to play it because that's bitch. There's also like Zushida, and I mean, there's a bunch of really hard monsters, which I'll still do because I have all these accessibility options. And if I wanted to, I could turn off the support hunters and have other players join me to fight it. And which, especially with some of the more rarer monsters, I probably could, and some where people really think of wanting the challenge. I could easily do that, and I'd have some good players playing with me, which would be great. And it's easy. But World and Rise, the previous two games, don't really have those features. So I'm just cheating my way through it. And you know what? I'm okay with that. And you know what? That's just the way I want to play. And if I want to play it that way, and I know I'm cheating, I'm just not going to play multiplayer. And that's fine. Because I don't need to. Because I'm whipping everything's asses. I don't need anybody else. Which is great. So that's why I call it responsibly cheating.
Cool.
Damon?
So yeah, so the men's chorus had the last concert of their 34th season. Back in we did a concert called "I Am America." It was sort of a uplifting but still kind of a protest concert about, we're all American despite what anyone else is saying in the world, especially now. It's funny that technically this concert was put together last year before everything kind of went the way it went in November. And it kind of became a bit more relevant and heartfelt and beautiful based on what we've been doing. Are definitely living up to the idea of just we're here, we're queer, get used to it. So it also was the last concert of my tenure as the VP of membership. Haven't talked about this, I don't think, on the show. But as a board member, I have been on the board for since 2013, so 12, almost 12 years. And apparently, according to the bylaws of our organization, you cannot be on the board consecutively for more than 8. So, but no one is really keeping track realistically. Um, it just so happened that when I put in my bid for reelection, the person who is the election chair is also a historian and has been looking at things and all of that. And he was like, "Oh, hey, I saw this program from this concert that we did in 2019, and your name is listed as one of the board members." And I was like, "Yeah, I've been on the board since such and such." He's like, "Oh, well, yeah, you kind of can't run anymore." So it's a weird feeling to kind of be, for lack of a phrase, told that you have to step down. um, but I think it's going to be a good thing. It's been several years since I have not been on the board in a official capacity. So it's going to be interesting going back to a world where I was just a singer. And I know I'll be able to do more and like all of that stuff. That's a given. I'll help when I can and where I can. But we had the elections actually in May, and there's a new vice president of membership. He and I are actually meeting later this week to kind of do all of the transitions of power. And yeah, I'm feeling a kind of way. I don't think the like members coming to me with things will like go away, but now I will have the ability, the authority to say, I can't really help you there. You have to talk to such and such. And that might be a good feeling. Hate to say it in a way.
Well, I mean, I think it's great. I mean, like, it is difficult when you're a person of responsibility
Mm-hmm.
to transition to someone else doing that. But the reason why I
Yeah.
kind of snickered is I was like, yeah, so you will hand that off and, redirect people as needed.
Mm-hmm. I don't know that. I can't help you there. You need to talk to her. Or him, realistically, like him. All right, like, and again, it's like I said, I think there'll be an interesting transition on my side on how um, going into like a concert and not being the person that needs to do all of the things, and going into a rehearsal not being the person that has to do the things that I've been doing consistently. So we'll see. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But it was fun today. I think if you were listening pre-show, um, we had a pride that we performed at Northern Kentucky Pride this afternoon, and I had like 3 people asking me stuff, and I was like, "Yeah, I guess I'm technically still it, at least for now." Transition doesn't happen officially until July 1st, so yeah. Whoop.
Sorry, I just have this vision of you over this month being like, get it together, girl. 'Cause clock is ticking. July 1st,
Right.
I'm out.
hmm I do kind of. I will say I do feel that way. Let's get this stuff going and done. Like, what else do I need to do so I can clock out? You know, like, is there anything left over? There's a couple of things I may bring up, but I just wanted to. I know having the meeting with our new VP of membership will be good, and They're excited, and I'm looking forward because one, they're a new member. They've not been with the chorus that long, and I feel like that has the potential to be a positive because they don't have all of the like backlog of history and such to like how did we used to do it. They can go with how can we do it now.
Right.
They can potentially forge their own path, as it were. So yeah, that's me, Gary.
So I am calling mine The Adventure of Chapters Closing and Beginning.
Mm.
So I don't know if I've kind of mentioned a whole lot. So I think I've probably said some things a little bit over time, but for those that are newer to the podcast or don't know, my father has been dealing with a chronic disease and had disability for a number of years now. And back in the pandemic, his health and cognitive function had gotten to a point that he needed to be cared for in a better way than what I could provide. He had been living independently on his own, but he'd taken a couple of falls. And so in the summer of 2020, in the midst of the pandemic, he ended up getting moved into a facility and has been there since then. He about, I want to say 17 years ago, maybe 18 years ago, was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And it runs in my family. My great grandfather had it. My grandmother had it, although she got diagnosed late, just a couple of years ago. And then my dad has had it. So we're familiar with it in some capacities. My dad was a lot like my great grandfather in that way. So he presumed if there is something genetic about it, there was a high likelihood he thought he would have it. In fact, he spent probably 3 to 5 years trying to get diagnosed, and there is
Mm.
no test, quote unquote. Like,
Mm.
while there is some possibility of genetics, and that's still being researched at the moment, that you can attribute those things, he couldn't really get an affirmation until he finally got his diagnosis from a well-known specialist at Ohio State University.
Mm.
So he made some life changes within a couple of years from the diagnosis, and then eventually moved back here to Erie, pre-pandemic, like about 2018, maybe, I don't know, 2017. Temporarily lived with me, and then we got him his own apartment, and then he was there for quite a while. And like I said, he ended up moving into the facility in the summer of 2020. And then last year, so when he had the falls, his cognitive like recall and things really was different. Like he kind of phased in and out of like current time, and he kind of bounced around.
Mm.
And that's what they call, like, for him. So the diagnosis was Parkinson's dementia.
Mm.
But like we say in the community, like you see one person with PD, you see one person with PD. It's not a disease that has a lot of commonalities. Like if you're aware of
Right.
Michael J. Fox, the actor who has a foundation, he's like the face that most people think of when they think of Parkinson's. But
Right.
like his tremors and like twitching and moving around and stuff, like some of that is dyskinesia, which is actually a condition because of the medicine, and how your neurons fire. But long story short, dad, ever since he went into the facility, wasn't quite always like aware of where he was or what time it was and different things. And so for a long time,
Mm.
like he wanted to go to work, and or he thought he was at work, and
Oh wow.
it was an adventure. He always had his spirit about him. And then slowly over time, and it's been a very, very slow progress, the dementia continued, and his mental capacity was changing. And at the beginning of this year, the end of last year, things had really started, not, I want to say escalating, but changing a little bit more significantly. And come the beginning of this year, he kind of lost interest in like socializing and doing things or being around other folks.
Mm.
And eventually like really, having meals. So he changed his nutrition intake, those type of things. And so I kind of knew that we were entering this this final stage and phase. So a week ago Monday, so we have what are quarterly visits with the care staff. So there's activities and medical dietitian, like a whole group of people each time. And this time they were like, he's been consistently losing weight, which I knew since the beginning of the year. I had requested some medical examinations to see if there was any significant changes in terms of his physical capacity in certain areas, just to kind of figure some stuff out. And there was really nothing significant. And ultimately, it was. Sorry, I have to look at a calendar. It was 2 weeks ago when we had the quarterly visit, and that's when the team was like, "You probably should start thinking about some other things."
Ooh. Yeah.
As in, like he's like, I knew for a long time he was never going to get better, but this was like very much like we're not even sure he's going to plateau. So I made the decision that Wednesday to begin hospice.
Right.
Hospice has a lot of different varying styles and services, and a lot of it is about like making the individual comfortable with where they are and continuing their care through till their passing. And so you can do it for months or years. Medicare covers it and provides it. And it will cover a whole series of things, not certain things. So that was a whole thing I had to maneuver. I was very concerned because I didn't want more bills.
Yeah.
Because, he doesn't really have anything. Like he had been pretty smart ahead of time and kind of like made intentionally sure that he didn't really have anything much by the time this was coming around, because he knew what this would kind of look like.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't started hospice a week ago on, like, it was supposed to, I started it and I got the paperwork signed and everything on the Wednesday, and then Friday they did their first assessment and they started this past weekend stopping some of the Parkinson's meds, and part of it was because it wasn't prolonging or changing anything
Right.
in that capacity. So I knew Memorial Day weekend where things were at and what the expectation was where things were going to go. And suffice it to say, I spent a lot of time this past week with him, and he got, slowly was declining, but I say slowly, like it wasn't super rapid, but it was quite evident. So I'd been updating the family to let them know, to be aware, this is where we're heading and what's happening. And honestly, I kind of thought at any moment things might change. And then
Right.
Thursday, I was working half days, and on Thursday they contacted me in the morning. Hospice informed me. They said, yeah, you probably, if you want to spend some time, or so I did. I left work and spent the rest of the day with him, and could tell like things were continuing on, and so he passed away on Thursday night. And I took the day off on Friday, had a whole bunch of series of things to take care of, spent some time with some of the family. And this weekend's been really good to be reflective. And my best friend of we now think 30 years.
Wow.
It's either now 30 years or about to be 30 years next year, roughly. Came up with their partner. We spent the weekend hanging out and stuff. Got to do some kind of show off, because the partner hasn't been to our town before, or city, so we did a whole bunch of kind of sightseeing things and drove around and stuff and telling stories and all that. So the obituary went up today. I will say this was probably really weird for someone to make a first time visit to a town and have to see a lot of cemeteries. That wasn't really the plan. It was kind of ironic that we met for brunch, and the place that we went to brunch, which is a really good brunch, was across the street from a cemetery. And I said, there's no theme here. They knew why they were coming up because of what was happening with Dad. And then actually I sort of turned it into a theme, and we went and visited a couple of cemeteries to pay respects to some folks. Anyways,
Sorry.
sounds very morbid, but anyways, you have to understand.
Very Addams Family.
Yeah. And they're a good friend when they're willing to go to cemeteries with you.
Right.
In these types of
True,
situations.
very true. So yeah, we
and that that they have a good partner and they're willing to come along during that.
True that.
Right, and not find it disturbing or freakish or whatever. So yeah, we turned around and spent a lot of the weekend hanging out and stuff like that, so it's been good. So yeah, to quote another very good friend of mine, when their, I guess I want to say second parent.
Mhm.
It feels so weird to phrase it like that without really getting into stuff. After their, they had passed, this very good friend of mine posted online, and I found it very profound. It was a few years ago. They said, "Well, now I'm an orphan." And at the
Mhm.
time, it really hit me. Like, I was like, "Whoa, that is a way to think about it."
It
My mom
is.
had passed away in 2019, kind of unexpectedly. So I've been through some of this before, like the
Mhm.
estate and talking to a funeral home and blah 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 blah. So anyways, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
and while I appreciate very much so, people reached out. I put a post up last week to basically
Mhm.
give everybody the heads up, like, hey, I started Dad on hospice, like, there's limited time, yada yada. And I was trying to be really, really nice, but I was like, please don't like try to make arrangements to come see him.
Yeah.
Because he had changed so much while he was in care, especially over the past like 6 months roughly. I was concerned that if anybody went to visit him to like have a connection with him, that really wouldn't be the case. One, his stature, like his physique had changed quite a bit, especially with weight loss, and his cognition was really, really different. Um, so yeah, I'm I'm fine. I'll be very open about this. When I was at the funeral home, I was helping them. We have to get a death certificate, and I was answering questions, and then the person I was meeting with was such a blessing because I met them when my grandmother passed away back in March, and they had handled some of those affairs. So it was nice to get reacquainted with them. And they were like, how are you doing? And I said, oh, this, that, and a bunch of stuff. And I said, I'm fine. Like,
Mhm.
it's very different when you know what's coming
Mhm.
and you
Right.
have time to mentally prepare and think about the stuff. And
Mhm.
don't get me wrong, like I did not have all the I's dotted and the T's crossed and the other stuff.
Right.
I
Right.
will
I don't think you
tell
ever
you
will.
guys off air about a funny thing that has come up.
Okay.
That's I'm not going to put it out there for the public, but I'm sure you two will find it very interesting. That is a
Right.
whole like matter of like I should have probably looked into something ahead of time. But
Right.
long
Right. Right.
story short, I said, I'm good. This is very different than if you don't expect it to happen.
Mhm.
And I'm
And
very blessed because one of the things is that Dad didn't have other big complications. Like I was more concerned over the years that I don't know, he would have tried to get out of bed as stubborn as he was and like fall down and crack his head open, and then
right.
like you
Right.
got this
Right.
whole other thing you're dealing with.
Right.
So this was not that. And
Yeah.
so
And
anyways, I was telling this caretaker person to the staff member at the funeral home, and man, she called me out so well, but so professionally and politely. Like we had this really good rapport,
mhm.
kidding and laughing and joking and this stuff. And I said, that I'm good, and all this stuff. And they said, you're good today. When you're done managing all of it and it's done, all the stuff is done. There's nothing else to do. That's when it will hit.
Shit. Where's my fact pen? Hold on.
And I mean, I've owned and told people, I'm like, I know I'm going to grieve. I'm
Yeah.
not denying that, and I'm not fighting it. I just know that it will come when it comes. And when she said that, I didn't say this because we weren't this close. We weren't these good of people, as mere acquaintances. But I was like, my instant reaction was like, ouch. And then my second thought was, fuck you. Like, who do you think you are calling my ass out like this? Like,
How dare you tell me the truth? Fuck you.
right. That is not what I came here for. Thank you very much. No, it
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
it
But
was,
I,
it
I,
was, I mean, their family has worked in this industry for a long time. And even though they're, possibly young enough to be my offspring by age, she just knew. She's seen so much, and she had figured out and assessed, like, I am managing, I am controlling, I am overseeing, I am supervising, like I'm doing all this stuff. Not that there's a ton of stuff to do, but I am an only child, and like, you know, I'm the only one. And
Right.
so she was like, yeah, she's like, when you're done with all that stuff, that is when it will come. And I thought, you're right, because it's been a flurry of activity for a couple weeks. So yeah, and this is the thing. The reason why I wanted to talk so openly about it is it will happen for all of us.
Hmm.
Whether you have siblings or not,
Yeah.
in a quite normal / traditional like regulation of things, our parents will go. And some of us have already had these experiences and some have not. And I want people to know, like, ask and to accept and to be open when there is offers of assistance and help, and even if it's just like commiserating. Also, it's perfectly fine to not know what you need.
Right.
Like when my mom passed away, that was a very different circumstance, and I had to figure a whole bunch of things out and try to navigate that. This one's different, and so it feels very disconnected in a slight way, in that it's not like before, it's different, and like, what is there to do? You know, it's
Yeah.
like there wasn't a lot left to be done, quote unquote. So yeah.
Well, I know it's not easy, and I'm realizing now, as you've kind of been talking, I have one more parent, and I know my brother has the stuff. Like my mom has like made her preparations and done all the things, et cetera, so forth and so on. And I've talked with like her um, mutual benefits or something like that. I forget what she's got, but anyway, like I've had conversations with them, but uh, it's always been because my brother's the oldest that he would like be the one,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know for sure if that's going to be the case. So I'm thinking, and I don't want to do it, and I know he's not wanting to do it, but I think at some point we're both going to need to have a conversation with him, and like so that we can all be on the same page should something happen. Because I'm not going to be able to get there right away,
Right.
but we both need to be ready because I'm sure there's a potential lot to do. So I know you have our condolences,
Thanks.
and as you know, if there's anything you need, you can let us know.
Yeah, I mean, it's I wasn't sure. I'm pretty sure. Sorry. This is some things are a little bit of a blur. I tried to give you guys a heads up, like I might have to not
Yeah.
be available, depending
Yeah.
on how things were. And as it turned out, you know, it's like the things aren't happening that are, you know, causing a delay or, you know,
Right.
taking me away in some capacity. So yeah, I can't express how grateful I am for what I got, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I got a parent who was not perfect,
Uh-huh.
because I believe nobody's perfect. And was so boldly forthright, like, and open about like not being perfect. I mean, I think I was single digits, and this is probably right before my parents divorced. And I remember my dad saying to me, like, listen, when you were born, nobody gave us a book on how to raise a child.
Right.
Which is probably a lot to say to a kid, but you know, my dad was just trying to be, you know, honest, and so he had a lot of these kind of things he said over time. You know, I remember being a teen and him being like, he, you know, was living in another state and we didn't see each other as often, and he was like, listen, like, I get it, high school is a big deal, but these people are not going to be in your lives forever. They're here for a specific time, and you probably won't ever see them again. And of course, as a teenager, I was very much like, you don't know what you're talking about. Because, they're your world. You spend 8, 9 hours, 10 or more hours a day with some of these folks. So, like, they hold such significance, and then they don't. So yeah, like he instilled so much like wisdom and stuff. And I remember for a long, weird, I had an awkward time as a young adult. My dad, like every time we talked on the phone, especially, but when we saw each other in person, he always ended it with saying, "I love you."
Mm.
And this is a thing that comes from within my family. Not to spill tea, but um, there was a dynamic that wasn't said a lot. And so
Mm.
he was like, that stops with me. I'm going to make sure my child knows.
Wow.
And I remember like being real awkward about it. I was a young adult and I was kind of like, and the thing I felt awkward about it is I was like, why do you have to verbalize it? Like, it's just known. It's just there. Like, why do we have to say it?
Right.
And I kind of finally not confronted, but asked my dad, like, why are you, saying this? Because I told him, I said, I don't know how to feel or how to respond. And he's like, well, I just say it because it's true. And I want to make sure you know. He's like, I want no doubt ever that you think that is not the case.
Mm.
And what occurred to me was he had seen me struggle in coming out. He actually came to me and in a weird backwards way, I think I've talked about on the podcast before, tried to out me to myself. And wanted to talk about it, and I wasn't ready. I was going through therapy in college, and I used an analogy with him because I finally figured out why he showed up in my college out of the blue and just like wanted to spend
Shit.
time hanging out and talking. Right. And my dad at the time was a long distance truck driver, and he's like, "Oh, I was just in the area," and I was like, "Bullshit! Like you're not just in the area." He kind of was, but like, I went to a college town in the midst of like the hills that was nowhere near anything else. So it
Right.
wasn't like he just pulled off the highway. Like
I
he
just happened
essentially,
to be passing through. Like, no.
right. He had to leave the trailer someplace and bobtail in and stuff. So when I finally figured out what was happening and tried not to panic,
Mhm.
I think I got real quiet and I thought about it for a moment. I said, "Hey Dad," I said, I used this analogy. I said, "Do you know about bivalves?" And he just looks at me really weird because, of course, he has no idea where this conversation's going. And I said, in nature, when you have an oyster and you want to get the pearl, like you basically have to kill it to open it up to get what you want. I said, and I just don't think
Mm.
I do. And he got real quiet and he said, okay. And he figured out what I was trying so hard to tell him in that moment.
Hey, I
Right.
hate to
Was
stop you for a second. Could you repeat that? Because on my end, you paused. There was a big old pause, so I missed what you said.
so I had asked my dad if he was familiar with bivalves in
Mm.
nature. And I was talking about how like with an oyster you want to get the pearl.
Mm-hmm.
And I said the only way to really get the pearl out is to crack it open to kill it to get what you
Mm.
want. And there was a bit of a quiet moment and a pause, and then he said, "Okay." And I figured out that he figured out that I was trying so hard to tell him I'm not ready. Like he was ahead of me. And what he didn't know at the time was I was going to therapy because I'm an only child and like I'm the end of the lineage, like the
Mm.
bloodline. Um, he has a brother, but he wasn't going to have any kids. And so like I had a huge amount of guilt as a young adult about like, and mind you, this is the early 90s. So this is the time frame where I'm like, coming to terms with myself, but I'm also not expecting to have children. So I
Mhm.
was like, this is it, kids. Like there's not going to be any more. And so I carried a lot of weight and a lot of guilt with that because I thought like that was going to shame my father in some way, blah blah blah. So eventually, later when I was ready, and I came to terms with it and we talked about it, I brought that part up, and he was like, "I don't care." He said, like, and he was honest. He said, "Am I disappointed?" Yeah. He's like, "But that's on me." He's like, it's not fair to put that on you. And so I just, really grew to respect him as a person. And I realize I'm, talking very positively about him. Don't misunderstand. He was a human being. He had flaws. We all do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like it's been very much reflective and such a blessing and stuff. And now I've got a new chapter starting. People have known for a long time that like he has been my anchor, and like he's the reason why I am in town and have stayed in town, and don't know what the next part holds and what that means. There's going to be a whole aspect of that to figure out, like if I stay or if I decide to go someplace or do something else.
Yeah.
I don't know. But and I guess I also just want to say to people out there, like, no matter what your circumstances, whether you're alone or on a team or in a group of some kind, when you caretake, it's a lot. Even if you don't want to own it or recognize it. Like, I got called out today by my best friend of fucking 30 years. We were talking about what I was doing with my dad, and they stopped me and said, he's being too kind, and then listed what I was doing. Because they'd seen it and they remembered what I was doing for my dad. And I didn't realize I had done that. Like I knew what I was doing. I knew what I had done. What I meant was I didn't realize that I had kind of skimmed it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to say I sugarcoated it or whatever. Like I guess I put a filter on it.
Right.
And they were like, no. Like, yes, but like
yes,
they just ended it in a very serious, like, he was doing all of this stuff. So he's being too kind to himself at this moment. So those are the things to learn to take away, is be like, yeah, that's a whole thing. And when you caretake, like, that's probably a thing that a lot of us do. So, keep that in mind if you can. Be kind to yourself and realize that, what you are doing is out of love, and it is meant to be the way that you pay it out, pay it forward, pay it back.
Right.
And, take the time that you need, do the stuff that you need to do.
Right.
In that case, I guess I'll wrap with just saying, if you have people that, are loved ones in your lives, that I know this sounds trite, tell them, let them know. That's all I've done for the past couple weeks. It was pretty much consistent, like, giving back and telling. I wanted him to know. I wanted him to know that I got it, and I wanted him to get it back, So.
There we go. I'm not crying. There's literally something in my eye.
Who brought the onions in here? Anyways. Is Janet? Damon? What's been going on over in YouTube?
We have a new subscriber. Welcome to the YouTube family, Big Bear Will.
Hey, thank you for
Hi, Big Bear
subscribing.
Will. Thank you for subscribing.
And if you haven't yet, please like, comment, and subscribe. Ding. Meanwhile, Gary, what's been going on over in Patreon?
Well, we want to give some Big Bear Cub hugs to our patrons at the Cubsters level, Charles W. and Michael K. At the Uber level, Dave T, Lee, and Michael Q. Plus our buddies, Lloyd G, Michael V, and Owen R. We thank you very much for supporting us and basically helping keep the lights on, as we like to say.
Thank you for being our patrons.
Thank you, patrons.
Well, last month was Interesting.
Short.
Gary?
Yeah, we had a couple episodes. Listen to me. We kind of had a couple episodes. Episode 784 was the What's Going On for the month of April. 785 was Hollywood Heartthrobs, Past and Present, where we reminisced and talked about the men who created
Made us happy.
yearnings in us.
I mean, wait, no, that sounds no.
Well, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, we also ended up having an away week due to some personal circumstances, and now y'all understand a little bit of that that was going on. And 786 was Let's Talk About Food, the Summer Picnic Season Edition, where we reflected on like the dishes, the food items, the things that we look forward to at this time of year. For those of you that aren't aware, we all live in the Northeast region of the United States. Jeff originally being from the upper Midwest. So we get seasons. So that's where that comes from. If you grow up and you live in a place where the weather doesn't really change a whole lot, one, God bless you. And two, like because of that, we go through food in cycles. So that's why we did an episode about the summer season, so to speak.
I just want to say that living in a place where there really isn't seasons sucks. It's crap. I hate it. I'm glad I'm where I am now.
Now you're here. Yay.
Or at least in the same region. Technically, I'd probably prefer to be in Minnesota. Because, you know, Minnesota is the best state in the entire U.S.
I'm not going to push back on it. It's all yours.
Nothing but blue skies from now on.
Every time.
I was going to say, for those of you, we've joked about it over the years about people who play COL bingo. If you had a bingo card, there's a new spot on the card on your 25 possible spots. There's a new one that says Damon face palms when the blue sky theme plays.
It's just the oddest transition. But I get it.
Especially considering I didn't transition at all. I just played it. Anyways, Damon.
Yeah. So mine is from @Brock Jasper. Yada yada hump day yada yada. And it says that, and then says, "Goodness, I could do with the humping." And it is the sexy big bear on his belly, leg spread, in some conveniently, I think, zippered or maybe always open shorts. That show his very beautiful furry butt, down to like you can see his balls, and I'm kind of
that
all
is
about
definitely
that.
hemmed, so that is definitely intentional.
Yeah, I feel like I thought it was a zipper, but I don't think there's a zipper.
No.
I think it's just that.
Yeah, I would say, given the copiousness of the hirsuteness of this gentleman, yeah, because this is not a peach fuzz ass. This is this man has some hair, and there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, to that point, because I was just thinking, I'm like, man, if there was a zipper, that's potential
It
for
has the potential to be a problem. Yeah, but again, I'm not mad at it. I kind of am loving what I'm assuming is sort of like crotchless in a way.
Yeah.
It's like
it works.
Like a weird version of a jockstrap.
Yeah. I kind of want it. Not that you'll ever see me in them, like,
right,
actively. Like but I like the idea of this. Yeah.
And he's bald, he's bearded, he's harried, he's somewhat bellied, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
He's tatted. The one thing that partly annoys me, and this is a me thing, just me. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not a me thing.
Damn. Oh, that's not
Is he's wearing socks and they're like pulled up all the way.
So going to his Blue Sky feed and looking at his images, it is Zipper.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that I'm doubting it. I'm just caught off guard.
Like really? Yeah. It's hold on. I will share this in our show chat. And actually I'll share it with our audience. There you go.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. See what I mean? Like,
Interesting.
but if you look at it, and I'm looking at it like this new picture that I sent, it definitely has like
Yeah,
a good
it's-
amount of potential protection. Like it's not like here's zipper, here's your ass.
Hidden zipper in a seam.
Yeah. But still nice. Anywho, that being said, weirdly enough, I found this guy on there we go. Thank you, Gary.
Yeah, no, it's just if you can
Mhm.
kind of. Anyways, I sent them a link like to the actual like other picture. It's but you can actually see the zipper like teeth because it's a fine zipper. I don't know how else to phrase that. Like it's
Yeah.
not big grabby like teeth.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a well crafted item, I guess I would say.
I would
Yeah.
For its
And he-
partially be
and
scared of it around that much hair.
I am too, and I think I even finally zippered at it as it is, I still would be a little like, we'll see. But
Yeah.
but he's a furry boy, and muscle bear kind of something or another. Yeah, that's that one. That's mine. Gary.
I have two. The first one is called Paradise by the Bathhouse Lights. For those of you that get the pun
Uh-huh.
on the
Hey, I think I
song.
shared that one last month.
This exact photo?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, my bad.
Let me check.
Um, it just goes to show. I loved it so much, I was like, we have to share it again. Yeah. He's a lovely, thick man who apparently is in a bathhouse. You know what? We did talk about this. Now I remember because we were talking
Uh-huh.
about the paneling and the floor. Anyways,
Literally the same title.
It's okay.
don't
It's
look
a
at it,
good
God damn
picture.
it, people out there. It's
It's
such
a
a
good
photo.
It's a good fucking photo. Just saying.
Yeah.
Like,
It is a great photo.
The answer is
Bearded.
yes.
yes, bearded, daddy, bellied, like
I mean-
all like
I'll say this. For those of you that don't know out there, I think we've kind of talked about it on the podcast before. Damon and I have been in the same bathhouse at the same time for the same event.
right.
That being said, I mean, this is not the way I operate, but I would take sloppy seconds.
That's fair.
Listen, this is what it comes down to. This is how good of friends we've become, right? Over these years. If you got first, I would happily take second. I would in fact, if we saw at the same time, I would probably be gracious enough to be like, I'll let
After
you go.
you.
Yes,
Okay.
I'll let
And-
you go first, because here's part of the thing. For those of you that don't know about cruising, because the reality is, if for some reason they're not interested in your friend, you have a chance.
Right. Right.
So,
Look
and I'm
at
the type of
you.
person that doesn't want to find out they're not interested in me. So,
I love it. Oh,
That's
anyways,
totally fair.
but I get it, and it. I think it would be this. I think I would be okay with sloppy seconds too. I think I would. I think I would. I think I
yeah.
would.
Listen,
Especially with that guy.
This
Yeah.
specimen, this man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I know we're objectifying him, but this is good enough that like, if there was an opportunity and there was a chance, and it meets expectation and goes above and beyond, I would probably actually refer. I would probably, if we saw each other, be like, that one.
Yeah.
That one gets gold star. That one.
Mm.
Feel free to continue on your way if you have interest.
So he's got a good rating on the bathhouse. God, I had a name for it. The bathhouse version of Yelp.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think it's there's a lot of obviously good positive moments in this guy, and that's why I'm happy to see him again. Yeah.
May have only been a month, but that's okay.
That's cool. I think having that we've been like thinking about it, yeah. We've been in the same bathhouse. Yeah. I could see this being a thing. I could potentially see this being a thing. And I can also see it being like, oh, yeah, after you. It'd be whoever saw him first and he was interested in. Like we have to consent is a thing. So that part. But like, oh hey. And if I happen to see it happening, get a thumbs up or a smile and a wink, just like go on. Have fun.
See, that's true friendship. When you silently like give indications to those that are with you in the space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much.
But that was your first one.
Yes. And then I have a second one. So I have shared before at Harry Gut on Blue Sky. They do these like haiku type posts with a Polaroid style picture image that are mostly, I think, AI generated. That aside, it just cracks me up. So this one's called number 392, Risk. Men fun in public, constant fear of getting caught makes one come harder.
Hashtag truth.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Very much so. Very much so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
And if you
And
have
Gary
been
knows
so
a lot.
lucky, you have experience. I will say, I think I might have talked about this in the podcast before. One of the hottest times I've ever had was in a shower on the rooftop of a hotel that had a rooftop pool. The potential of getting caught in such a public place.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, to be half my age again.
God, you have no idea. You have no idea. God, I was literally just thinking that. Oh, to be in my 20s or below. Gosh, thinking about like
the time when I was just a slut.
Yeah, the risk you took for the D, like the risk you took for the D, like.
Well, I mean, let's be fair. We are people of a generation.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So we came about, like, I'll just say roughly 30 years ago, and the world was a very different place.
Fair.
And what we did as activities was different. How we went about such things was different. So, I mean, and it's commonly said, that the youth take a lot of risks that you learn over time as you age may not be in your best interest because of the potential outcomes.
Man.
Yeah.
I'm just I'm going in my head and I'm thinking backwards. Maybe that's another LTAS. Like,
Fair, very fair.
we took. Yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll see. We'll see. I just this one is fun. I love this. I love this idea. The fact that it's fact, like, is also very much there. Man,
Yeah.
I have thoughts. I have stories. We can.
Yeah.
I went to a
For sure.
Christian college, not a nominational, but I went to a non-denominational Christian college. So just putting that out there. First of all,
Gotcha.
Anywho, moving into the links. Well, thanks to the same way that I got exposed to RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars Season 7 and watched the entire thing. I also ran into a show, which is currently on Max, called The Nino.
Okay.
It is a story about a trans girl who is a journalist, and she was obsessed with a trans woman who had the nickname of La Veneno. This takes place in Spain, so it's all in Spanish. They do have an English dub, but it sucks. And it's a story about her and getting basically she meets up with Christina, is her name, Veneno, and decides to write a book about her life from when she was a kid, and how she went from being young gay boy growing up and eventually transitioning, and her life thereafter. And it is a 1-season series, which basically tells the story in as La Veneno would tell it, from life to death. And it is incredible. Lots of nudity. Well, maybe not lots of nudity, but there's plenty of nudity. On both sides. You see dick, you see vag, you see boobs all over the place. But I found it as even though I didn't watch like every single minute of it, I did find it as a very intriguing story, which makes me actually want to go back and actually watch the actual entirety of the show. At first I thought, oh, this isn't something I'd be interested in, but then I got hooked and thought it was a very interesting story. There is an English dub, but I would recommend subtitles in Spanish because, well, I have to say the English dub actors, I think, did a pretty good job, but because it feels dubbed. So it is a little awkward, despite, in addition to the fact that lips are speaking Spanish, but the voice coming out is English, and was recorded in a recording studio versus more on set.
right?
So that's why I say sub over dub on that. Dubs in animation can be okay, but in live action, it's risky. So, but really, really good story, I think. So check it out.
Mm-hmm.
It's on Max. Maybe soon to be HBO Max again. Who knows? I haven't seen any transition in the branding. But that's my recommendation.
Cool.
Gary?
I looked back and I didn't see that I had listed this previously, since apparently I love reposting things. So I'm just gonna say, if you have Disney Plus or get it, and you are interested in Star Wars, Andor season 2 aired over the course of a month. They did 3 episodes at a time, which I know a lot of people had opinions about. So they did kind of like mini binging, I think I heard it called. Because I don't know if it's really happened before. Typically, when things are in streaming platforms, either they release all of it at once or they release it episodically, like 1 episode at a time, like usually once per week. Although it is ironic, sidebar, Netflix just had a big event and announced that Stranger Things is going to be done in 3 chunks at the end of this year. So this might be a new kind of concept depending on how storytelling goes. But Andor season 2 was 3 episode arcs over 4 weeks. And the first season was very well done. Tony Gilroy did an amazing job with it. It is very much not like other things that have been done in the Star Wars universe. There's a huge budget over the 2 seasons. It was originally going to be 5 seasons. And he made the decision and came up with a way to like condense it because he was scared to be doing this for 10 to 15 years. Because each season takes multiple years to produce and put out. So he found a way. And Andor is the story of the 5 years leading up to Star Wars. Well, no, it's 5 years leading up to Rogue One. Which is immediately right before Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, in the chronology of the lore. It's this season 2, man. I have to say, it is some of the best television. The craftsmanship, the storytelling, like there really weren't any moments, very, very, very few moments for me where I felt like there was flaws in the storytelling or in like the how some things went. It really kind of kept you on your toes, I felt, in some ways, like you didn't quite see things. And the other thing that I absolutely adored, and I know drove some people crazy, is it didn't answer all the questions. It left room to breathe. It leaves space for stuff to be fleshed out. So the universe of this IP can expand and do other things, other shows, books, novels, comics, you name it. Like there's things that can be done to fill in other gaps and spaces. So very much so. The production quality was just astounding. Yeah, I know there's some people that kind of got bent out of shape because he changed some of the lore. And I'm like, you know what? I don't know how to help you. Like,
there's going to always be those folk.
Well, there's always going to be changes made. Like, I understand wanting to be able to rely on something, but I think like there was very little change.
Right.
And it was done for specific reasons. There was even one casting change that happened that like kind of bothered a lot of people. When you found out why and what happened, it's understandable. So, not to get on my soapbox, but chill the fuck out. Like, it's entertainment.
Right.
It's all made up. So how about you take a pill? So
calm down.
Yeah. It's not that serious.
Really?
You can be passionate, just be respectful.
That's
the way I look at it. But it's good. It's
And personally, at least, as someone who's been a long-term Star Wars fan, the only egregious change of lore I've ever seen done to the Star Wars universe is Han Solo and Greedo. That's it.
Yeah, that was Lucas. That was a big one.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
Right.
Contrary to most to the loud people, I'm one of the few people who love The Last Jedi. A lot of people hated it, but I felt it was very much in line with how the storytelling of the Skywalker saga was. So if there's some change in lore, it's probably some things of, hey, no one knew that before. And now this is the good type of retcon where we actually see what actually happened. While other people thought it was something different. I don't know. Anyways. Well, I think that's the end.
Mm-hmm.
Plain ways to contact us. Pop over to our website, cubsoutloud.com. Shoot us an email, cubsoutloud@gmail.com. Leave us a voicemail or text us at 361-COL-TALK. That's 361-265-8255. You can follow us on Blue Sky, Facebook, Tumblr, and YouTube at Cubs Out Loud, the appropriate place of the URL. Like and subscribe on YouTube. And you can join our entourage chat at bit.ly/telegram-COL. You can find out when we're planning and recording these shows, when we know, by checking out our Google Calendar at bit.ly/calendar-COL. Get various accoutrements, such as a flexibility for accessibility shirt, our next generation shirt, contents is our foreplay, all at zazzle.com/Cubs Out Loud. Some of those designs were designed by Smashy. You can find more of his work at tpublic.com/user/Smashy the Bear. You can also become a patron at patreon.com/Cubs Out Loud, or send us a donation at paypal.me/Cubs Out Loud. We appreciate everybody who helps out. You can find us on all the podcasting platforms, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify. You can find me anywhere on the internet as Box, Set Box, Puppy Box, Cub Box, something or other, maybe. Damon?
If you wish to get in touch with me, you can find me as Theater Cub79 on most beer-related sites, etc. Find me as Pup Umbra79 on Blue Sky or Pup_Umbra, etc. Those are not safe for work. For safe for work, you want DMA Gamer79 on Blue Sky, TikTok, etc. Gary?
My name, pretty much anywhere that you want to find me online is going to be Gerber73.
And with that, say good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Have a good one, y'all.
Bye-bye.